Alright, your fellow Gen Z Brit is going to be checking out 1980s things that are not socially acceptable today. Now, just to quickly address the change of setting, guys, I'm currently in America right now filming for a documentary, so make sure you're staying along for the ride and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss some cool things that are going to be coming your way in the next couple months. And other than that, guys, of course, you guys seem to love the last reaction I did to 1970s things that are different to nowadays. Now, obviously, me being a Gen Zer, a lot of these things are foreign to me. I don't know too much about what times are like, but it's going to be very interesting, at least I hope for you guys, to see a Gen Z's or Gen Z perspective on some of the things that you guys probably did back then that are not acceptable today. And I'll be very curious to see what the person here has to say. Of course, this is from Recipe of History's channel, so of course go check out the original video if you haven't already. But yeah, guys, look, with that being said, let's get straight into the video. Let's go.
40 years ago, things were very different.
Okay.
MTV was just catching on and Atari was still very popular. We didn't have all the constant news in our face, but our social media was hanging out with friends and family. Some of the things we used to do would probably get you arrested now.
That's mad.
Safety standards in cars were pretty well absent. The regulations were more like mild suggestions rather than rules or laws.
Okay.
Nobody wore seatbelts, and many people just wondered why they were even there.
You're joking.
As a kid, you could sit in the middle of the bench seat up front and control the radio.
Huh?
If you wanted to see over the tall dash, then you could just simply stand up.
Wait, that's wild. You're telling me the seatbelts weren't really a thing back then? That is mad. That is mad. And you know what? I prefer that. I prefer to get in a car with no seatbelt because it's just more thrilling. You know, your life is a bit more at risk, and there's just something about that. But I don't know.
If you wanted to see over the tall dash, then you could just simply stand up. Heck, Dad may have even placed you in his lap so you could help him steer the car.
That's crazy.
It was also common to see kids just packed in the back of a station wagon or maybe in the bed of a pickup truck.
What?
Car seats were available for purchase, but rarely would you ever see one in a car. If your car was packed with kids, then it was usually easier just to leave them in the car and then go into the grocery store and shop.
Okay.
Most people just left the windows rolled down and the kids would be just fine. Kids were very active and
The thing is though, even then though, even in those days, there's no way you're leaving a kid that's under the age of like 11 in your car alone with the windows down, no? Like even then, that should still be a thing, right? Like, no,
and the kids would be just fine. Kids were very active, and it wasn't uncommon just to tell your parents you were going outside to play, and then you would disappear for most of the day, if not all of it. It was always easy to tell where all the neighborhood kids were just by glancing at someone's yard and seeing the collection of bicycles.
Right.
If that wasn't seen, then most of the kids would knock on their friend's door to see if they were home and if they wanted to come out and play.
Right.
If you went around riding bikes, then you certainly didn't wear a helmet. Most people couldn't even see these in stores to buy, and if you could, they wouldn't have even wanted them. Same thing with elbow pads and knee pads.
Okay, that one there, even to this day, like even for a Gen Zer like me, if you're riding a bike with a kneecap and elbow pads, whatever, and a helmet, like, just what are you doing? Just get off. You like, and with the tracks, with the freaking safety wheels or whatever you call them. Look, if you're doing all of that, no
Most
pads.
kids just thought it was cool to show off your latest injury or skinned knee. If you happen to be too far from home too late, then no problem. Find one of the payphones that were all over the place, and if you didn't have change, then that wasn't a problem either. Your parents knew when they got the collect call.
You have a collect call from.
I'm at the community center.
Do you accept charges?
Your mom and dad would just come and pick you up and load up the bikes if you had them. Otherwise, your parents just expected you to be home by the time the street lights came on.
Wow, that's so different. Yeah, that's so different, man.
Yeah, I'm Deadpool's roommate. Lying down. I can't.
parents expecting you to be home before the street lights come. Like, I'm so used to nowadays just, you know, phones and stuff like that. You just message them and you got a GPS on there anyways. You've always got Google Maps wherever you get lost. Like, I'm probably, like, obviously I'm a Brit in the UK. I could probably be in the other side of the country and still find my way back home with Google Maps. Like, that's just how much different things are nowadays. So, but in terms of them like using like the pay phones and then the street lamps, and that's when you have to be back. That is so different, man.
Expected you to be home by the time the street lights came on.
I didn't know that.
Smoking was still very big, and parents smoked in the home and car with kids still in it.
What?
Secondhand smoke was just something that everyone had to live with, and most people weren't worried about exposing it to kids.
Yeah,
it wasn't
different.
uncommon to see people just smoking away in restaurants, and most of them probably didn't even have smoking sections.
Wow.
Things were so different back then that there were cigarette machines in front of some stores and restaurants.
Wow.
No ID check or anything, just insert the quarters and pull the knob.
Mad. Okay, yeah. The cigarette smoking and the no smoking area and then getting secondhand smoke, yeah, that's definitely not socially acceptable today. Even me with asthma, man, I would die in those situations, man. And I'm glad that's changed. I'm glad that's not acceptable. That one I'm very much agreeing with. Wow, that's what it was like back in the day. That's interesting. Smoking
check
machine.
Or anything, just insert the quarters and pull the knob. It was also a time when kids would run to the convenience store and pick up some essentials. Sometimes those essentials were cigarettes, and all we needed was a note from mom or dad and a blank
ID.
check.
What a note! A note is crazy. At least it's crazy to me because, yeah, you can't get nothing without an ID. And I know in the US it's a lot more different. Like, you have to be 21 before you can drink. At least in the UK, you're like 18. So, yeah. The fact that you had no idea, a note, yo, that's different.
Needed was a note from mom or dad and a blank check.
Way.
Considering how most people were about smoking, it's not surprising that alcohol would be much different. Alcohol wasn't something that kids enjoyed, but I'm sure many tasted it just to see what it was like when parents offered it.
We still do that.
Being a latchkey kid was perfectly fine. Parents were busy working and doing other things, so it was quite common to see kids at home by themselves or watching younger siblings until they got home. Parents just thought if kids were old enough to dial the important numbers or 911, they were responsible enough to be at home alone.
Wow, okay. Yeah, because, like leaving like young kids in the house alone, that's definitely not socially acceptable today. But it's interesting how back then it was a lot more relaxed. But it makes sense. Like, I can see the thought process and why parents would be thinking, oh, if they can do that, then surely I just leave them in the house for a couple of hours, whatever, and they should be fine. But yeah, these days things are a lot more strict.
911, they were responsible enough to be at home alone. Physical punishment was also something that was viewed very differently.
This one.
Paddling or swats from parents, family, or teachers was considered completely reasonable if the kids misbehaved or were disrespectful.
Yeah.
Punishment was usually swift and painful.
That picture was crazy, by the way, this one of him bending over, like, okay, but even then, teachers hitting students? No way. Since what? And this is 1980s. That's not even that long ago. And so let you guys let me know if some of you guys are getting smacked by your teacher, man. Because parents, I hear the parents thing. Me coming from an African household and that culture, the culture's there. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously now it's a little bit, let's not. Social services might get involved if I talk to you. Let me know. But even then, to hear that your teachers were hitting you, that's different, man. That's different. If I got hit by my teacher, it's World War VII.
Completely reasonable if the kids misbehaved or were disrespectful.
If you got hit.
Punishment was usually swift and painful. Peanut allergies certainly were around back then, but kids still brought peanut butter sandwiches and peanut products to school.
Okay.
Peanut and other allergy bans weren't a thing. EpiPens didn't hit the market until 1987, so if you had an allergy, you just had to hope you didn't die.
I hear it though.
If you were a teenager in the 1980s, then you didn't have Instagram or Snapchat. Your social media was hanging out at the mall with your friends. You could do a little shopping, eating, and a whole lot of hanging out. Parents would allow their kids to roam the mall by themselves for hours. Kids may still go to the mall today, but not quite as much.
Yeah.
If they hang out there all day now, they might accuse you of loitering.
Yeah.
Chickenpox parties were...
and then yeah, like you said, like it's just not as common like to just hang out in malls. I mean, online shopping, you got stuff you can just other stuff you can do. At least probably for you guys, going to the mall was a good day out. For a Gen Zer, that's like boring. You get what I'm trying to say? So
they might accuse you of loitering. Chickenpox parties were something that many people had long before there was a vaccine. Most people felt it was best just to get chickenpox out of the way so you wouldn't have to worry about it later.
I hear it.
If one kid started showing signs, then it was time to gather every other kid who hadn't gotten it for a good old-fashioned party.
Smart.
I am afraid you are forbidden from boarding without permission.
The PG-13 rating didn't exist until July 1st, 1984, and prior to that, they got away with a lot more. People realized that there was a huge gap between PG and R. If you take a look back at the movie Airplane, which was PG, you'll understand how wide this gap was. The movie was filled with a lot of adult humor in it, and it even showed some nudity.
Oh, wow.
On August 10th, 1984, the action film Red Dawn starring Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen became the first ever PG-13 movie to be released in theaters. Over the last 40 years, there have been many changes, not just in technology, but in regulations on what we can and cannot do. Most of the younger generations do not realize how many changes have taken place during the 80s and have continued to do so. I hope you enjoyed this little walk down memory lane. Thank you so much for watching.
Why don't you come up here, Pumpkin?
What are you doing, Larry?
Well, Vince, I've asked my pumpkin to sit on my lap to prove a point.
And what is that, your Larryness?
Even if we fasten our safety belts, even if you hold on tight, even if you were watching the road, if you crash, your pumpkin will be nothing but a squash.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Use child safety seats.
We love that little pumpkin to pieces.
Okay, Joey, it's a wrap.
Hi, I'm Joey Lawrence at Give Me a Break. After I'm done here, I get a ride home.
Okay.
But the thing is, I will only get into a car with someone who wears their seatbelt. You see, kids like me usually do what the driver does. If they...
Okay, it seems like towards the end, it's looking at some adverts for some seatbelts. Look, I apologize if you guys want me to see the rest. It looks like cigarette looking advert. If that's the case, you know, those are different types of adverts if that's to do with cigarettes. But yeah, okay, that looks like it's gonna be the video, guys. I don't think I'm missing anything. If I am, let me just grill me in the comments below. But yeah, that was really interesting. Like he said, there's been so many differences that even I was shocked at, like especially with the seatbelt one and then the smoking one. Those are some of the two that really stood out to me. But other than that, like, it's such a mad difference from just in the short space of time of 4 years, and I know a lot of you guys would have grown up and seen that transition in real time. For me, it's just like looking back at how it is, I can even see that it is so much different, and I'll be really excited to check out some more. So if you guys like this series that I'm doing, let me know what other videos you want me to check out. Maybe some 1960s things, or there's a video that's ended here that says things that kids will never experience anymore. Like, let me know if there's some other stuff you want to check out. And yeah, I'm gonna make a playlist of all these videos so that if you guys want to see all of these, you know, ones where I'm checking some stuff out back in the day and some stuff that was socially acceptable on whatever you guys want to see, then it'll be on that playlist. So if you made this point in the video, comment down a green heart or hashtag flex off for those of you guys that don't know how to use emoji still. I know some of you guys watching may be struggling with that. So comment that down so I know who my real ones are and who made it to this point. And guys, like with that being said, I'm your boy JayFlex. This has been 1980s things that are not socially acceptable today, and for those of you guys that made this to this point, you guys have been absolutely wonderful, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.